3 reasons personal injury claims usually settle instead of going to trial. Now, if you've been hurt by somebody else's negligence, there's generally 2 ways of resolving the case. Way number 1 is a settlement. You accept a check from the at-fault party and you release your claims against the at-fault party. The other way is you go to trial and you let a jury figure out who's at fault and how much money needs to be paid. Now, the first reason cases generally settle is because a settlement allows the defendant, the person being sued, to control the risks and avoid legal costs and possibly a large judgment. So in most cases, if a defendant knows that he or she is at fault, and if that person knows their real injuries, there's going to be a lot of incentive to settle the case instead of taking it all the way to trial, because they know they might get hit with a large verdict at trial, and going to trial is very expensive. A second reason a lot of cases settle instead of going to trial is the person being sued, the defendant in that case, might be a high-profile person or company, something like that, and they want to keep their name out of the public's eye. So what happens a lot of times is the parties will negotiate a settlement, and one of the pieces of the settlement is going to be a confidentiality agreement. That means that when the settlement is locked down, the person receiving the money, the injured party, is not allowed to talk about what happened, not allowed to talk about the settlement. This keeps the big corporation or the public figure out of the eye of the public, so people don't know what happened. Because in some instances, let's say you're injured by a product, well, maybe you weren't the only person injured by the product, and maybe the large corporation wants to keep the fact that you were injured by the product and that you got money out of the news, because if it hit the news, they might get hit with a whole bunch more lawsuits. So anyway, confidentiality is another reason why a lot of lawsuits tend to settle. Now, the third reason is costs. The litigation process is expensive. If you are a defendant, your insurance company is either going to have in-house lawyers it's paying to work every day that it needs to fund to go through the litigation, or B, hire out the case to a private law firm to handle. And what happens is the lawyers have to get paid. There's, of course, costs involved with just going through the court system. If it's somewhat complex, you're going to need to hire experts. Experts are thousands and thousands of dollars, and the process takes a very long time. So in order to get rid of all of these costs, you can have an early settlement where you may pay a little bit more money in the beginning than you want to, but you're going to avoid all of these expenses down the road. So that's another pretty big incentive why cases tend to settle instead of going right to trial. So know that your case is probably going to settle, but never ever tell the insurance company that you're not going to go to trial, because if you tell them you're not going to go to trial, they know that they can give you a lowball settlement and you're not going to do anything about it.